Welcome aboard Just Jets with your captain, Matt O'Leary. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to Just Jets episode number 119. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary, back with another episode on Memorial Day. Before we get started today, just wanted to mention our sponsor of the show, Manscaped. Sweaty sack summer is approaching, and it's time for you to prioritize the comfort of your crotch. That's why the king of crotch comfort, Manscaped, has spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. I've had the honor of testing out these new boxers, and I can say it's the softest fabric of any underwear. So breathable, and it's like gills for your groin. They even trademarked the jewel pouch, so you know it's serious. I think it's time you invest in your family jewels, so let your bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping with my code JETS20, that is JETS20 at manscaped.com. I really have tested these guys out. They are so comfortable. You can pick up those. You can get the Lawnmower 4.0 performance package. Pretty much, you can't go wrong with Manscaped. You guys know the drill. They've been a long-time sponsor. They have the best stuff on the internet. Gotta love them. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring the show. Make sure to check it out. So today's episode is probably going to be a little bit on the shorter side, but I just wanted to get something out there for you guys. I don't like to take weeks off, but it is Memorial Day. Which is the unofficial start of the summer, but it's also a very important day in our country to remember the American soldiers and those who didn't make it, unfortunately. So what I wanted to do, I do this every so often. The last time we did something like this was for St. Jude around the holidays, but now around this time of year, there's a charity that I like to donate to, America's Vet Dogs. Essentially, they're based here on Long Island. I've worked with them before in the past, but they provide service animals to veterans in need who are struggling with PTSD or anxiety, or maybe they have a disability from an injury that they sustained. So I always feel like, I don't know, I think this is a good time to donate. So any revenue from this episode will be donated there. And I'll provide the link down below in the comments. So if you guys want, you can donate too. No pressure. I'm just putting it out there. But just so you guys are aware, I'm always transparent with this. I'll be donating any revenue from this video will be going to America's Vet Dogs. They're based right here in Syosset, I believe. Again, I've worked with them before a ton of times, and they really do a lot of awesome things. So I wanted to show some love there. Let's hop into today's episode. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit on the shorter side. It is Memorial Day, so I wasn't sure what the interest in an episode would be, but like I said, I don't really like taking weeks off from this, and there was something that I wanted to talk about. We have a few voicemails, not as many as usual, but it's a quiet time of year. But there was an ESPN power ranking where it ranked, obviously, every team in the NFL. And I was pleasantly surprised with the Jets ranking. And maybe it's because I'm not used to the media showing the Jets a ton of love when it comes to, just in general. But the offseason's gotten some love. We talked about last week about Zach Wilson being a dark horse candidate to lead the league in touchdowns. But in this one, the Jets were ranked 24th in the power rankings. Now at 24, obviously is still bottom half. It's not great, but that's a drastic improvement from a team that was pretty much bottom 3 in every single power ranking last year. Around this time last year, I made a video about the Jets being ranked 30th. So they move up 6 spots. The teams that are behind them, the Seahawks, makes sense. Panthers, Jaguars, Lions, Bears, Giants, Falcons, Texans. In that order from 25 through 32. No gripes there. I think the Jets are better than every single one of those teams. Texans, yeah, that's going to be tough. Sorry, Texans fans, but it's going to be a little bit of a rebuild there. Falcons, same deal. Giants, the other New York team, they're going through it in their first year. This is their first year of the new regime. They'll be okay. I like honestly, like putting the Jets bias aside, I like Brian Dable and Joe Shane. So I wouldn't be surprised if they turn that thing around, but it's not going to be pretty this year. Bears, Justin Fields, poor Justin Fields. That's not going to be pretty. Lions, they improved, but they are just still not where they need to be just yet. Jaguars spent a ton of money, but they were well behind the Jets. Panthers, no quarterback. Seahawks, no quarterback. That makes sense. Now, the teams just in front, I'll do like the 4 teams right in front to round out like the top or the from 20 to 32, I guess. Commanders 23, Vikings 22, Steelers 21, Saints 20. I had a hard time making a case that the Jets should be in front of any of those teams. Commanders, I don't love Wentz, but he's at least like relatively steady, and that defense I think is going to end up being good this year. I think they're going to be solid. They have a lot of guys on that side of the ball. I didn't love their draft, but I don't think it's going to really matter too much. I love their edge pass rushers. I think they're going to be able to get after the quarterback. Vikings, kind of the exact opposite. Their defense stinks out loud. I don't think their defense is going to be any good. But, man, on offense, Kirk Cousins is going to be able to get the ball to their playmakers, and they'll win some games. Again, I don't love that team. I feel like they're always overrated. Like they're one of those teams where it's like, oh, maybe they could be a wild card team. They stink, but they have the playmakers on offense, and Kirk Cousins, who could throw for 4,000 yards in his sleep. Is he phenomenal? No, but he can get the ball in the hands of the playmakers, and they'll put up points. Steelers, man, like that defense and that team is good. I'm just unsure about the quarterback. So they're a question mark, I guess, in that regard, but they're just good every single year. I think the Jets could beat them. So maybe that changes by year end, but I understand why they're 21. They have a great coach. I think Mike Tomlin is criminally underrated. And obviously TJ Watt is just an absolute savage. And offensively, Najee Harris, you had the rookie tight end last year who put up some numbers. Freiermuth going into year 2, I think is going to be good. You added another wide receiver in Pickens like that. They have weapons for Kenny Pickett / Mitch Trubisky, but I think they're going to be limited because of the quarterback play, but still probably somewhere around middle of the road. So 21 isn't awful. Saints 20. I'm not a Jameis guy, but man, that team like around them is pretty good. If Jameis could even just be like, well, kind of how he was in the first half of the year before he got hurt, then I think that team would be in pretty good shape. So there you go. Those are the teams right around the Jets. 24th. I'm okay with that. Like I said, no gripes out of me. A lot of times with like this last year, it was like the Jets have the 30th ranked roster in the NFL. I don't know if I'd go that far. After the injuries last year, okay, 30th best roster or third worst roster, however you want to word it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But the Jets have improved. I think they'll be better this year. And again, like, it's a little bit of a quiet time, but let me know what you guys think. Is 24 fair? Would you put the Jets in front of the Commanders, Vikings, Steelers, or Saints? I wouldn't right now, but I think it's fair to put them above the Texans, the Falcons, the Giants, the Bears, the Lions, the Jags, the Panthers, and the Seahawks. Who, I mean, let's face it, the Jets have some of these teams on their schedule. They play the Seahawks, they play the Jaguars, they play the Lions, they play the Bears. Do they play the Texans? I don't believe they play the Texans. And obviously they don't play the Falcons, which would be nice, but they don't. They get the NFC North. So, all right, without further ado, we'll get into your voicemails. Let's hop right into it. First up, we have John in Tennessee. We're going to go through some Jets hypotheticals. Let's do it.
Hey, Matt, it's John out of Tennessee again. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for the content, as always.
Thank you.
So I've got 3 kind of fun, just hypothetical, or 2 hypothetical fun questions, and one that's more of just a personal, curious what answer you'll give. So the first question is, if someone were to tell you they saw in the future and, Zach Wilson were to throw for 30-plus touchdowns this year, Breece Hall and Michael Carter were to combine for 1,600-plus yards, and the Jets overall would have a plus-minus turnover differential of at least 8. All right?
Wow.
Which games that you currently have as losses for this year would you switch to wins with that information? All right? Second question is, if someone were to say, hey, you're looking 4 years into the future, between these two players, which one do you think would meet that possible level? All right. One which is Brees Hall turns into a version of his uncle in Roger Craig. And then Jeremy Ruckert is comparing to Jason Witten, two borderline Hall of Fame level players. All right. And then my third and final question is, what is one Jet player you are high on that you are worried you could be wrong about? And what is one Jet player that you are low on that you are hopeful you could be wrong about? Not including Zach Wilson and on either of these ones, because I don't feel like that would be as interesting. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks as always, and go Jets.
Really interesting hypotheticals here, John, and thank you so much for calling in. Always appreciated. Good to hear the voice. So first up, okay, we will go with 30 plus touchdowns, positive differential, turnover differential. Hall's going over 1,000 yards. I would say Jets get, I think at that point, probably 2 more wins. And that's how you go 10-7. I would say the Vikings, which is a game that I had the Jets losing, and the Ravens in week 1 would be the 2 teams. Maybe like you can maybe convince me one more, like maybe you split with the Bills instead of getting swept. And then you're at 11-6. That'd be nice, man. That'd be really, really nice. But still, the reason why I'm not quite there yet is while those things are really good, the linebacker and safety situation, which kind of goes into one of the later ones here. I'll put a pin in that. But for the second one, I'm going to go with Brees Hall reaching that expectation. I like Jeremy Ruckert, but Jason Witten was steady and just did it for a very, very, very long time. I'm high on Jeremy Ruckert, but I think we're going to see Brees Hall come in and be productive right away, where Ruckert's going to take a little bit. So I guess with using that logic, I would think that the one who has the higher ceiling of the bunch is the one that you should go with, which is obviously Brees Hall in that case. And the final part, someone that I am high on that I might be wrong about, and someone that I am low on that I'm hoping to be wrong about. I will go Makai Bechten because injuries, I think, would be the reason behind it. I think he'll be okay, but if he gets hurt again this year, then you have an issue, obviously. But yeah, I like Makai. I think people are writing him off after this missed year, which wasn't good, obviously, but I think we're quick to forget how good he was as a rookie. I really like Makai. I think he's going to be good this year. Even in moving to the right side, like that doesn't bother me. It doesn't. Some people look at that as a failure. He's supposed to be your left tackle of the future. It doesn't matter. You found the diamond in the rough with George Fant. So if that works out and you extend him, great. And then just go, you go from there. And someone that I am lower on that I'm hoping to be wrong about, Quincy Williams. Because if he is, like the Jets believe he has Pro Bowl caliber talent. And if he can play to that level, then the Jets defense is going to be a lot better than what I think it is. Because when I look at Quincy, I think he's a fun player and he's very easy to root for. He has really good speed. He's aggressive. He hits hard. And again, he's fun. I don't necessarily dislike him. I just don't know how good he is and if he should be a starter on this team, if he has the consistency to be a starter. That's my only question with him. We'll see. He'll have an opportunity to prove it, obviously, this year. But yeah, I'm probably a little bit lower on him, but I really hope that both those guys pan out, because that means that the Jets are probably pretty good this year. Let's do Patrick in Atlanta calling in. He's got some floor versus ceiling questions. All right.
Hey, Matt. This is Patrick from Atlanta. Just wanted to call in. First, wanted to start off. I've always been a Jets fan. I'm 23, if that gives you a gauge of kind of my progress through being it. But kind of woed out a little bit until right after the draft last year. I got into your videos, and it really kind of sparked everything back up, and brought me back to being a little kid as a fan. So I appreciate you for that. But yeah, man, I was calling in to say I really see our floor for wins at 6, and our ceiling would be at 10. Because I understand the disrespect we get being the Jets, but from all the substantial moves that we made this offseason, I just really can't see that minor of an increase. From 4 to only 6, that's worst case scenario, but I really see our sweet spot being around 8 if that's really Zach has a solid season and our rookies progress, and same with our second-year players. But, you look at our team, and this is kind of conditional, but you get Bechten back as a new starter, like returning. You get Whitehead coming in from the trade. You get Brees in a committee backfield. You get Sauce. You get DJ Reed, Lakin, Tomlinson from the trade. Jermaine, who's going to be a rotational starter, obviously, with how solid does it. Garrett Wilson. And then we're getting Joyner back, who we didn't have for pretty much all year last year. So, that's like 9 pretty much new starters from last year to this year. And if you look at any other team and you gave them 9 starters and you're telling me they're only going to win 2 games, like, come on, you're kidding me. That's why I get it. But it frustrates me. I actually, 3 of my best friends are Dolphins, Bills, and Patriots fans.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We all live within the same area, so we're talking about it all the time, and it's definitely hard to get some respect around here. But I'm hoping this year Zach can really take that next step, whether it's a massive leap into the top 10, top 15, or just a marginal leap and sitting around like 15 to 17. I still think that would be good to see. I wouldn't be really too disappointed. But yeah, man, just want to know your thoughts. Appreciate all you do for the Jets. I think you've always done a really good job, man, and go Jets.
Thank you. Really appreciate it, Patrick. And we're pretty much on the same page here. I pinned the Jets. You can go back and watch the schedule breakdown video. I had them at 8 and 9. And I think that, like, if things go wrong and there's injuries, 6 wins, yeah. If things go really right, then maybe you get up to 10. I think anything less than 6 would be an absolute failure. Really, like 7 is where 7 to 9 was my original range. But like, if injuries come up, like there's a way where you can make 6 wins. Like, all right, like if Zach, balls out and they win 6 games, but the defense is really injured or something like that, then okay, you could live with that 6 and 11. But They got to win some games with the talent on this roster. You're right, man. They had a lot of turnover in a positive way on this team. Whitehead's going to be a really good addition. Joyner, I am a little bit worried about just because he hasn't played a lot in the last 2 years. Maybe we see a little bit more of, oh my God. I almost said Parry Nickerson, but it's not Parry Nickerson. Oh my God. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh my God, the chat's yelling at me. Pinnock. There you go. I knew it was a P. I knew there was a P in there. Maybe he plays a little bit on the back end. And this team's not perfect yet, but I think there's no reason that they can't take that jump and be competitive. Like, I don't want to see the blowouts. I don't want to see that New England game where you're giving up 54 points, or that stretch where there was a stretch where they're giving up 54, 45. To Buffalo, to Indy, the Patriots. You can't be giving up those kinds of points week in and week out. And I think they'll be more competitive. DJ Reed is a really good player. I'm excited to see him on the field. Sauce Gardner, obviously taken 4th overall. Expectations are sky high for him, as they should be. He's a really damn good player. Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to be an immediate impact guy. Jermaine Johnson, I think, will be good right away. I don't know if he's going to put up stud numbers because of how much that defensive line is going to rotate. So I think if your expectation is like, oh my God, Jermaine Johnson's going to come in and break the double-digit sack streak of not having one, I think that's a little bit optimistic. Maybe at some point in his career he can get there. But in his first year, I think like immediate impact will be upgrading the run game on the edge and solid. Maybe like 5.5, 6 sacks, somewhere around there for Jermaine Johnson in his first year. And Breece Hall, that's another one. The 1-2 punch of Breece Hall and Michael Carter is going to be really, really good. I can't wait to see this offense really get to work. So, Patrick, I agree with you. Next up is Beto calling in from Texas.
Hey, Matt, this is Roberto from Austin, Texas. You can call me Beto. First of all, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. You provide a starving man in Texas some much-needed sustenance on Jets Info. But
Appreciate
I
it.
just have a quick question. I'm wondering why everyone's being so conservative with Zach Wilson's year coming up. When I just look at all the players that has been put around him here, I mean, let's just do the math a little bit. Wide receivers. Let's just start with wide receivers. If you take a piece of paper and just write down Elijah Moore and Corey Davis, between the two of them, I think we can conservatively get 1,600 yards. One might get 1,000, one might get 600, whatever.
Okay.
But we should be able to expect 1,600 yards from those two. Garrett Wilson, he's a rookie. He might not blow up right away, so maybe 500 yards should be a conservative number for him. Mims and Berrios, between the two of them, I'm hoping we can get 400 yards. Maybe Berrios gets it all by himself and Mims gets traded and doesn't do anything. Or maybe Mims blows up and comes back. But 400 yards from those two should not be something too homery. I should be able to expect those numbers. From the tight ends, we got Uzama and Conklin. Between the two of them, I think it should be conservatively, we should be able to get 1,000 yards from the two of them. One will get 800, one will get 200, whatever. But we should be able to get 1,000 yards from the two of them.
Okay.
Ruckert and Ebola, they're both young, they're both starting, they may not get much playing time. Maybe 200 yards from just the two of them. And then we go to running back, Carter and Hall. I mean, we're going to be passing to our running backs, screens and such. Conservatively, I think 200 yards from both of them, each should give us 200 yards each, so maybe 400 yards from both of them would be conservative numbers. And if I do all the numbers, I'm looking at wide receivers 2,500, tight ends 1,200, running backs 400. Guess what? I'm looking at 4,100 yards for Zach Wilson. I know before you say it, I'm saying it now. I'm being a homer, but damn it, I am so looking forward to this season. I am so psyched that I am looking forward to seeing what Zach can do with this team. And I actually really think that he can break $4,000.
I hope he does.
Let me know what you think, sir. And go Jets.
Appreciate it. And how you laid it out makes total sense. There wasn't anything that was like, oh my God, that's egregious. That's way over the top. It's not. It really isn't. The reason why I'm apprehensive to put him on that 4K benchmark is because there's only been one to ever do it in the Jets history. Joe Namath in the 60s when nobody was throwing for 4,000 yards, which makes no sense. And I know you should be like, well, just because it's never happened with the Jets doesn't mean that you should just think that it can't happen. And maybe I get to that point at some point in the offseason, but it would have to be a pretty drastic improvement from Zach this year. And yeah, maybe he does it. He averaged 179.5 yards per game, which that he only played 13 games. But if he's at 179.5 over 17, that's just over 3,000 yards. Obviously, that's not good enough. But 4,100 divided by 17 with a little quick math here, 241 on average yards per game. I think that's doable. I think it's doable. I'm a little bit more probably around 220, which would put you at 3,740. So I'm right around, I feel like my benchmark is 3,800. That's the number that's kept popping up to me. If you can get above that 3,800, I'd be pretty happy. But is it impossible or is it unrealistic to say 4,100? No, it really isn't. It's really not asking too much. But it's just we haven't seen it from a Jets quarterback. I think that's why we're a little bit apprehensive to say it. But it's not impossible, and I don't think you're being a homer. I think you're maybe a little optimistic, which is fine. But I hope he hits that mark. I really do. And I think there's an outside chance he does. Let's close out with Will Dallas. He wants to talk about the Jets being the new Bengals. All right, let's do it.
Hey, Matt, my last voicemail got cut off. I think I was being a little too wordy. But basically, the overall message was that someone mentioned me in the last show and said that it was cool that I knew LT or whatever. But the story I wanted to share was how my dad had just finished golfing and LT had gotten a gift for his wife. None of us knew what it was. And he pulled into my grandparents' house in this purple Lamborghini that was worth more than my grandparents' house.
That's wild.
Which, I don't know. I was just looking back on it, how cool that was ridiculous. But on Bleacher Report, there was a poll that showed the which team is going to be the 2022 Bengals. And the Jets were the overwhelming majority. I think they got 55, maybe 60% of the vote, something like that. And I just don't want this year to be overshadowed by expectations that are too high. This team is not a Super Bowl contending team yet.
No.
And that's not me saying that I'm not optimistic about the future. I really, really am. And I think this draft class is going to be great this year and in the future. I think Zach's going to be good in the future. But I don't think we're a Super Bowl ready team yet. And I don't want this year to be overshadowed by the progress that we're making just because of lofty expectations. I just wanted to hear your thoughts. I think we're an 8 to 10 win team, best case scenario. We have a tough schedule. I don't think we're going to be, a 4-win team, but I don't think we're Super Bowl ready. And I just think fans need to pull back their expectations and just appreciate the growth that we're going to see this year and not demand a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, love the show. I appreciate everything you do, and as always, go Jets.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Well, everyone will in that last one, but I really do appreciate the kind words from everyone here. The one with the really cool story with LT. That's wild. Oh, my God. Can you imagine? Like, you just see LT pull in with a purple Lamborghini into your house. Oh, that's wild. I hope the Jets are the new Bengals. I really do. One, that'd be fun. 2, Jet fans really deserve it. I mean, we've watched some garbage over the last decade. Let's think about it. Outside of 2010, where you go on to the AFC title game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, we know what happens there. But underachieving 2011 season where you go 8-8. 2013 was an 8-8 year, but that was just weird. That was with Geno, and that was a really weird season. 2014 was one of my least favorite Jets teams of all time. I hated that 2014 team. They were so there was nothing redeeming about that team. Similar to 2016 was also a very hateable team. 2015 was fun. Go 10-6. Only time the Jets have had a winning record since their last playoff berth in the 2010 season. But we know how that ended. In Buffalo in week 17. 16, obviously, they tried to run it back. It went awful. Blew it up. 2017 was the start of the real rebuild. 2018, you draft Darnold. You win 4 games. There was some promise with the rookie quarterback, which was relatively fun. Then you hire Gase, so that's 2 years lit on fire. Darnold fizzles out. You bring in Salah and Wilson, and in 2021. But now in 22, can you be more competitive? We don't want to be looking at mock drafts in October. I really don't want that to be the case. I want this team to be hovering around 500 for the season. That's not asking too much. And if they improve over that, maybe they go 10-7, they sneak into the playoffs, we'll steal a game or 2 or 3. Could you imagine? That'd be an absolute blast. But it's really up to Zach Wilson. And I think he could be much better this year, especially with the weapons around him. So that's going to do it for me today. Like I said, a little bit of a quicker episode. It is Memorial Day, so hopefully you are out enjoying some time with family and friends. Appreciate the love and support. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.